So, what is going on guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another zombies video on the channel where today we are looking at the top 5 things you didn't know about classified. A couple of days ago we did a video about Blood of the Dead. If you do want to check that out, I will leave the link down in the description. But as always, if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like rating by the end or any time throughout of it. Of course, that's if you want to. If not, it's up to you guys. It really doesn't matter. Make sure you also subscribe to stay up to date with the latest zombies videos on the channel. But let's get into it. Here we go. So these are my top 5 things you didn't know about Classified. Obviously, this is a remake of the map 5 from Black Ops. There are a load of new Easter eggs and areas in this map. However, there are also still some Easter eggs from the old version in here. But anyway, getting right into it, in at number 5 is the writing on the wall from Samantha. So if you come down into the laboratories, inside of this room you will see written on the wall there is a bunch of writing. There's also drawings as well, and we can assume this was done by Samantha. There are a bunch of Samantha related Easter eggs in this map, ones where she talks to you. We know she is still in control of the zombies during this time, and she is trying to take down the Ultimus crew. There are so many more Easter eggs in this map that I want to make videos on, but if you take a look at this writing she's put, the ether is not for us. Ultimus will prevail, Teddy, and then she's crossed out lies. As we know in previous zombies maps, Samantha has written Teddy lies on the walls. Well, she's crossed that out and instead she's put dies. And Teddy, of course, is Richtofen. That is what Samantha calls him. And then underneath that she's put, there are worse things to trust than a doctor. The voices in his head are just words on a page he read. So that's interesting. We know that Samantha has control over the ether's energy, and she's telling Richtofen, since she knows Richtofen's plan, she knows that he was trying to travel to the moon to switch bodies with Samantha and take her power so he could have control of the zombies. Samantha knew of Richtofen's plan. Samantha knows what he's trying to do, so she's trying to stop him. She's written Ultimus will prevail, which means prove more powerful or superior. She's then telling us that Richtofen is going to die, which is interesting. However, we have had that feeling for a while now that Richtofen at some point is going to die. We do know that a different version of Ultimus Richtofen, the one who was trapped up on the moon, along with Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, at the end of the moon Easter egg, well, we find out in Classified that the scientists at the Pentagon accidentally teleport the Ultimus crew back down to Earth. They are found pretty much brain dead but still alive, and so the Ultimus crew are currently being kept at Groom Lake. I've done a full video explaining that. If you want to check it out, I will link it down in the description. So when she says Teddy dies, is she referring to Richtofen that arrived dead in Groom Lake and is currently being held there, or is she referring to the one that we're playing as? And then also, as I just said, underneath this she's put there are worse things to trust than a doctor, in which I believe she's talking about the voices. As we know, anyone who touches the MPD pyramid becomes corrupted by the dark ether and begins hearing voices in their head. One of these voices is the Shadow Man, so maybe that's who she's referring to. There are worse things than a doctor, saying there are worse things than Richtofen, and that worse thing is the Shadow Man. And also we can see to the right of this, she's drawn some pictures of the Golden Rod, the MPD, a person, and the destroyed Earth, basically telling us that she knows what's going to happen in the future. She's seen that Richtofen is going to take over the zombies, so she's trying to stop that. And then also on the other wall she's written, they can only watch you if you gift them your soul. The world will burn and they will be to blame. Salvation comes only once Argotha burns. Who exactly she's talking about in this message, saying they can only watch you if you gift them your soul? Is she referring to the Keepers, the Apothecans? And also, who is she referring to when she says the world will burn and they will be to blame? We know it was Richtofen that ended up destroying the Earth. He was working for the Shadow Man, he was his apprentice. So again, that could be about him. The Shadow Man, the Apothecans will be to blame when the world burns. And then of course, Salvation was the name of our last DLC for BO3, which was Revelations. So could there be a link there? But anyway, moving on in to number 4. So we knew previously that the scientists at Pentagon were creating their own zombies. We know that they had some involvement on creating the Crawlers at 5, or Classified. I'm just going to keep calling them the same map, but we didn't know to what extent or exactly how they were made. But in this map we can see there is a blueprint telling us exactly what they've done, and it seems like they've combined pig DNA along with humans, which created the crawlers. And we know all around Classified there are dead pigs. It seems like these were the main animals that the scientists here used for experimentation, and specifically they used them to create the crawlers, combining humans and pigs. And you can kind of see a relation, obviously the way they walk on all fours, but that's kind of strange. You never really expect those two things to be combined to make such a monster. We know that there are different versions of the crawlers. There are the teleporting ones that we get on Moon. We can see them in Kino and 5, but specifically the ones in 5, as it says on this blueprint, are version 8. Oh, and I forgot we also saw the jumping jacks in Die Rise, but we've only seen 3 different versions of the crawlers, yet this blueprint says they're on version 8. Whether version 8 is the one that we see in Classified, I don't know. They've also put us notes on here that the crawlers have limited eyesight, but enhanced hearing, and well, you'd expect that because they pretty much don't have eyes. However, you can see all around the labs, there are dead bodies everywhere that look like they have been tested on. Some of them are opened up, some of them are in these test tubes. They are absolutely everywhere. Combined with that, there are dead pigs, so it looks like these were test subjects, Nova crawlers, that the scientists here were making. So anyway, moving on into number 3, the next thing I want to show you is if you come up to this window in the laboratory where the pigs are, right at the back, you will see that it looks like these scientists at 5 have been burying people under the Pentagon. We know there are dead bodies everywhere around the labs, but you can see there are people in the back room here in body bags. They've then built a hole through the concrete flooring. They've dug down and it looks like they're burying these dead bodies under the labs, under the Pentagon. So if they're doing this, surely it's not lawful. The experiments that they're doing on people and killing them at the same time, if they're secretly trying to hide these dead bodies and burying them under the Pentagon, then obviously they're doing it illegally. They're not supposed to be doing this. They don't want this information to get out. So that's just something small I found, but I think that's really interesting. Now next up, as I'm sure you will know, there are a ton of computer systems around Classified. Obviously, being in the Pentagon, there are TVs absolutely everywhere, and a lot of them show these few same pictures. Now these are really interesting because a few of them don't make sense. The first image that we can see is the MPD. As I said to you guys earlier, Richtofen went to the US, he joined up with them and he told them everything that Group 935 was up to. Schuster also works for the Pentagon as well, so they knew about the moon base and the MPD up there. They knew about Samantha and how she was inside of it, so there's not really any mystery as to why they're monitoring the MPD. And if you keep going through it, you can see they have visuals of the moon base, just different sections of it. Then we eventually come to an image of Samantha's teddy, which is strange, and then as you carry on, there are images of the Ultimus characters and Samantha as toys in her room. And that is the strange part. Why exactly are there pictures, or why does the Pentagon have videos of the Ultimus crew as toys in Samantha's room? Like I said, they have Samantha as well. This was something we first saw all the way back in Origins 4 or 5 years ago, or whenever that map came out. For the ending Easter egg, we had this cutscene where Samantha and Eddie were in Dr. Monty's house playing with toy versions of the Ultimus crew. We knew that these toys were given to Samantha by Dr. Monty for her to play with. Since she was lonely and on her own, Dr. Monty gave her toys until the other children arrived, but that still doesn't explain why there are videos of the Ultimus characters as toys in Samantha's room. Why are the Pentagon watching this? There's a reason behind everything, but for this one, as of right now, whether we'll get more information as more Easter eggs are discovered and classified, that's something I can't really answer. If you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comment section below. And in at number 1, the very final thing I want to show you is if you come down into the war room, there is this map of the world, but as you see, there's a few different markers on here, and one of these specifically is very interesting. If you take a look at the marker right here, there are 2 arrows pointing at this location. Well, for the longest time since I can remember, this even went all the way back to Black Ops 1, people have been saying that eventually we are going to be getting a zombies map in Atlantis. Now Atlantis of course was a mythical place, but a lot of people do actually believe it was real. It was a piece of land with cities, people living on here that sunk to the bottom of the ocean. I believe it was part of Greek mythology, but as I said, a lot of people do believe that it did exist. No one knows specifically the exact location. It is supposed to be around this area somewhere, where these arrows are pointing. Somewhere between these dots is where Atlantis is supposed to be. Like I said, there are loads of stories as to what really happened to it. Some people say that Atlantis was swallowed up by the Bermuda Triangle, that it sunk to the bottom of the ocean. However, it would make for a super cool zombies map, just everything about it, and also having an underwater zombies map. And also, as we know in zombies, right now we do have our different mythologies going on, from Egyptian to Greek to Norse. So Atlantis, I think, would be an awesome location for a zombies map. However, since we can find this in classified, that would make you think if this was going to be a future map in BO4, it would have something to do with our Ether storyline. I don't know, there are also some other markers on here as well. However, those are just some of the interesting things that you can find within this map. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. If you have, as always, drop a like rating. Let me know how much of this you knew. If you knew all of it, then you're a freaking boss, but drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, goodbye.